About how to set up a meeting, an ongoing meeting in EduClimber. This would be great for our MTSS meetings. One place to make sure we're taking attendance, make sure we have students assigned. You can assign smart forms in there, the whole shebang all in one spot. The other piece that's nice is it pulls all of your students' data into one location so you don't have to go searching for it. So here's how we're going to do that. Right over here on the side, you can see this meetings button. I'm going to go ahead and select that. Any meetings that you have scheduled already are going to be right here. Today, tomorrow, whatever it is. If you want to see your specific meetings, those are going to be showing up here. All meetings would include any meetings that you're invited to, but you're not the owner of. Okay. So right up here at the top, you're going to click Create. I'm going to say MTSS meeting. Oops. And you might even want to put the grade level. So let's say it's 3rd through 5th grade. The description could be let's do student success meeting, student success review meetings. And you can put, anything else you want in there. This is where, is it a recurring meeting? Is it not a recurring meeting? Hopefully once we get really good at this, having a recurring meeting will be really, really helpful because they'll just automatically be on there and anybody can go in and add a student or take a student off depending on what meeting is coming up. So I'm going to say these are happening Tuesdays. We're going to say they started on the 3rd actually, and I'm going to say it's going to go to the 24th. Obviously, if you were to set this up, it could go the whole year. Down here, you can put how often it's happening. Is it happening every week? Is it happening every other week? Whatever that might be. So if your student success plans are only happening the 4th Friday, or I'm sorry, the 4th Tuesday of every month, you would want to make sure you set that up to look like that. Our start time is 2:30 p.m. and our end time is 3:15 p.m. Okay, so I'm going to say this is just happening every week just for the sake of, All right, let's say I'm going to invite Patty Gray. So this is where you add your team members. Okay, you can search by school, you can search by tag, user group, whatever you want. You can search by year. Okay, and I'm going to do. Okay. So keep in mind as you're, oops, I could only do one at a time, I guess. Keep in mind as you're adding people, if you're adding people to this, and let's say you have a 3rd through 5th grade team that's working all together, and you yourself as an interventionist are assigning students to this meeting, not every member of your team will be able to see every student because they don't have permission to. So your 3rd grade teacher is not going to see the 5th grade student that was assigned to that group. So you just have to kind of keep that in mind. If you're a team that you want everybody on that team, you're a small team, you want everybody on that team to see that information, even if they don't have permission to see that student, you can use some sort of projecting thing to be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. Right up here, this is where you're adding students. So I'm going to add just one student because I know what that student's number is. We don't have a smart form agenda set up, which we can certainly add later, but for now we're just going to leave it as is. I have my one student that I add. You could add all of your students. You could have none of your students. You could have, if this is a meeting where you're going to talk about all of 3rd grade all at the same time, add all of the kids. If you're only going to be reviewing, let's say 4 or 5 of your students, then you would want to put those students on the list. All right, I'm going to save and continue. It's setting up my meeting, which is pretty great. It's going to give me a summary. If there are form templates that you wanted to add here, you could. So I could add my, let's see, where is it? If you had a referral for specialist consultation you wanted to link, whatever it might be, I would just leave it as is for now. You could add an additional meeting time here. Okay, you can remove meetings. Let's say it's a holiday one day, just take it off, save and close. There's my meeting. all of these people will see that meeting in their meetings as well. There is also a notification system up here, so you have your calendar. There's my meetings. When I click on it, I can see, you know, what it is, meeting details. Okay. I believe also there's the notification system up here. If you were, it might actually be here. Yeah. So if I were to delete this meeting, they would get a notification, an email. I'm calling it email. It's not really, but they would get something here that says, Brittany Preston has deleted your emails. Okay. Or your meeting. All right. So there's that. So now let's say you're coming up on your meeting and, you know, today's Tuesday. I'm going to go click into my meeting. You can see all the people that are there. You could click on them to say that they were present or absent. That's really nice because if you're wondering who attended which meeting, or, hey, I thought that the interventionist knew about this intervention, why, you know, were they at the meeting? I don't remember, right? So you can add them there. Okay. So there's a couple of things to note here. Here you have your agenda items. So this would be really nice for data meetings, for example. If you had specific agenda topics you wanted to add, I could add a topic, okay, whatever it might be, and click add, and it's going to list there. I can click my down arrow, there's my description, and I can add my notes right here. Okay, you can have 500 words in that section. If you wanted to link a student to that note, you could link here. So I want this specific note to be linked to that specific student. Keep in mind, if you delete this meeting, then it will delete the notes on that student's plan, okay? All right, so there's the notes section. Here's another notes section. So notes created on this day. Oh, sorry, it's right here. My bad. So here is the same as this. Okay, so this is just your summary. If you wanted to take actual notes on your topics, you can go right up here. You can add your notes, whatever you want it to say, okay? Click submit and your notes are gonna come up right down here. Okay. It's gonna be a little bit of playing around with how it works best for you. Okay, so again, summary and our notes. I'm actually gonna add some notes so you can see what that looks like. Click submit. I added this note. If you had other people add the notes, that would come down here. You can print and you can reply to a note. It's almost like a commenting section. You can edit and you can delete. Alrighty. So now you have your students. When I click in here, here's the student that I had. If I had multiple students, they would all show here. If this student had any interventions currently in the system, they would show here, and so would their progress monitoring right off the bat. So you can imagine how huge that is. If you're an interventionist, you're doing your progress monitoring, you assign this kid to this meeting because you want to review their plan, all of their progress monitoring will be right here, right off the bat. You don't have to go and find it. It's going to auto-populate. All right. Here's their assessment data. So this comes directly off of their profile. You can filter it by literacy and math. Okay. You can click into these and see more information. Okay. It's pretty powerful. Click into here and see more information. See how they're trending. Again, you can turn off these if you don't want all those lines on there. You just want to see what the student's doing. There you go. Okay. And you can see their sub-assessments. So if you're trying to figure out, you know, how did this student do on STAR? Not only that, but I want to see how they did on informational text. There it is right there. Okay. And down here is where you can get their Lexile score. Alrighty, I think the quantile score is in here somewhere, but this is just literacy, so that's why you're not seeing that. Here, if we were clicking math. Quantile score right there. Okay. All right, so there's their assessments. Any incidents that they've had would populate here. So the student doesn't have any data in the system, but if they did, you would really quickly be able to see for that one student without having to go anywhere else. It's already doing that. And this button right here, it's going to analyze it for you. So if I were to click it, there's no insights here, but it would say, we notice that the student is most disruptive on Mondays at 4 o'clock or whatever it is, right? They'd be here. Don't forget these little lines right here are going to give you it in a chart format. Okay, a little bit different. All right, so up here again, I can click on the attendance. You can see how their attendance is by month, by week. Okay. Here's your smart forms. So back here, here's your smart forms. So if you then decide, let's say you've talked about this kid, you've analyzed their data, and you're like, yeah, he definitely needs an SSP. You can create it right from here. You don't have to go anywhere else. You just click Smart Form. We are calling it, let's see here, Student Intervention Referral and Plan. Okay. One thing that to note is if you wanted teachers to fill out the referral part of it, let's say it's a brand new SSP and you want them to fill out the referral part early, you can go to the student profile because they won't be on this agenda yet, right? You can go to the student profile, you can add that SSP there and just let the teacher know that it exists in that system. They can go in, they can select the smart form, they can fill out the top half with the information, strengths, needs, you know, family information, all of those different, the medical information, all of those different things. You can put that in early so that you automatically have it. And when you assign this student to this meeting, it'll already be here. So any plan that they have will already be here. All right, so let's open this up. Here is their plan. So some of it's already going to be populated for you as much as possible. You can set the status as in progress, on hold, complete, or exited. More than likely, if you're writing it now, it's going to be on an in progress status. Okay. The date of the referral, so we'll say today. Come on. The referring teacher and the date the parent was contacted. Okay. Here you can put, this is kind of like who's on that student's team, who's the coordinator. It says case coordinator. That could be basically who's in charge of upkeep of the plan. That's how I would consider that. Who's going to follow up with teachers to make sure that things are going the way they're supposed to be, or specialists or whatever. So again, these are all drop downs. Any specialist that the student has, maybe it's an interventionist, maybe it's they're seeing a special educator for a group, it could be OT, PT, all of those people. If the administration was present, and then any other people. If you have the parent present, you can't do that in here. However, we could check and see if we can add a tab for that, because that's really important and definitely missing. Down here, it's what other plans or documentation might apply so far. Did you fill out a parent input form? Are there lagging skills inventories? Are there, level 3 kid talk plan, whatever it might be. Down here, interests, strengths, preferences, any concerns, behavioral concerns, social, emotional, academic, supporting information such as family or medical. Keep in mind that anything you put in the system is part of the student record and can be requested by a parent. So just be mindful, just like any other system that we're using. The attendance data automatically fills in here, behavior data will automatically fill in here, and so will your STAR report. Okay, very simple STAR report, but it's in there. That's reading, and then I will add the math because that's not on here. So, all right. So any additional data, progress monitoring tools that you're using can be listed there. What have you tried? And this is where you're going to be creating your interventions, okay? It's a little bit different than the system we've used in the past. It's done by intervention. So intervention 1, intervention, 2, and so on. They all look the same. The reason that it's done that way is because what we found is you might have an intervention for reading at a level 3, like low level. It's just a short-term intervention for academics. You're going to type that in, and you might review that and change it or drop it or whatever before another one that could be on like a level 4. right? So the same form for both level 3 and level 4. Okay, scroll back up a little bit. So the date of the creation of the intervention, what the goal is from X to Y by when, the intervention name that you're going to use, the frequency, duration, who's responsible, all of those things are going to go in here. Progress monitoring tool to be used, the progress monitoring frequency. So this is kind of how you're building what you're going to put into your intervention. Now, what's nice about this, and I'm sure you saw it pop up a couple times, when you select a thing, if you're not sure, because that totally could be. It could be that I don't know what my baseline data is because I haven't done that yet. Like we know we flagged him, we know we have our star data and everything, but I want to use an Orton-Gillingham assessment on this student to get my baseline data. You could add an action item and assign it to somebody who's going to do it. So you just click in here and say, hey, it's kind of like comments in a Google spreadsheet or on a Word doc where you assign it to a person. That's exactly what this is. So please complete this section. You can assign it to somebody. So I might assign it to Gray. You can add the due date if you want to. It's under to do. It could be on hold, done, or in progress, but let's go to do. You can describe it here, and then you can click save. It not only will send them an email notification saying, hey, you have something to do in the system, but it's also going to show up under their action items, which I'll show you soon. All right, let's scroll down a little bit more. So you can see this is assigned to a person. You would put in your review date. Then at your review, you fill out this section. So the next time you meet, all you would have to do, because all the other information is already set, is complete these 2 sections. So their drop downs, was progress made, was it not made, do we need to change it, explanation of the decision that you made, and then you move on to the next goal if you have more than one. Okay, you can exit one intervention before you exit another. Like maybe they exit their reading intervention, but they still need their math intervention. You can do all that on here. You can add people to this form if they don't have it for whatever reason, but anybody who has access to that student would have it. So the only reason that you would do that, it would be, let's say you wanted to share it with the administrator, something along those lines, but no one will be able to see this form unless they have access to the student. And then you can print it. When you print it, it comes off a nice little WSCSU letterhead, which is kind of cool. So it looks nice, but I'm gonna go ahead and exit. Again, this stays right here. You can delete it. You can rename it. If you delete it, you have to select this button. You can set status. You can delete. You can download them all, right, into a zip file. Okay, and that's it for that. So now let's say you have another meeting that's coming up on October 10th, and you don't want to talk about this kid, right? You've already done that. You don't need to do that again. So what you're going to do is we're going to edit the meeting. We're going to go through. We're going to say, I don't need Patty at the next meeting. I need somebody else. They don't lose permission to see the student's information though. Okay. So I'm going to say I'm going to leave this here. But next time I don't want that student at that meeting. I want to select, I don't know, there's going to be a student, a different student. Now that student's on that meeting. I'm going to save. I'm going to save and close. So now I can go here and I have a different student on that meeting. So it's pretty easy. You just move students in and out as you need, and the information stays attached to the student. So if I were to go to my other student, show you. So here's my SSP form. Okay, all of that information is still there. Any interventions I assigned would be here, right? So not too bad. Just, you know, it's a little bit of playing around with it, making sure we understand how the meeting structure works. But once you get used to it, it is pretty easy. You just have to practice. So anyway, if you have any questions about any of that, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you very much.